Hey, it's Wendy from The Cheerleader, and today I want to talk to you about Digital Minimalism, which is by Newport. This book is such a game changer. Absolutely loved it. Loved reading every single page, loved highlighting, just loved sitting in the thoughts and the ideas. I think this book, I read this at a time where a lot of things were kind of coming into the front of my mind in terms of a perspective and almost like a philosophy of what it is that I think about social media and kind of phone and online distractions for me personally in my life. Now, this isn't for everyone how I'm approaching this. Like, I understand that. And I also understand that there are benefits to using and engaging with social media and apps on your phone or things on the internet or watching TV or whatnot. So I'm not saying get rid of all of it and let's just completely not use digital tools and online supports in our life. I'm not an advocate for that. But what I am an advocate for is having a perspective and an opinion on what it is that we allow ourselves to use and for what reason. And I think that's why this book resonated for me so much, because this is the main point of this book by Newport, or at least what I took from it, which is, what do we actually think about using these tools and technologies, and does that align for us moving forward? As I said, it came to me at a really interesting time because I was already feeling this sense of unease with using Instagram. Facebook has been basically long gone from my life, with the exception of a very few kind of closed community groups that are on there. However, I kind of see those as in lieu of being on another platform, they've kind of just ended up on Facebook, but it's not really that you're using Facebook as was intended, so to speak. You're kind of there because you're following or learning from a specific person and they are posting updates there, or that is part of the program that you're in. So I kind of put that in a different category of use. But in particular for me with Instagram, it got to the point where, and I've honestly lost track of how many features and improvements and iterations of Instagram there have been over time. But it got to the point where, if I remember correctly, there was a post that someone then shared as a story, and then someone else shared it as a story, and then someone tagged me in it, and then it was someone had liked it, and then someone had liked the like. So there was a moment where I was on Instagram and I had a notification, and that notification was because someone reacted to a reaction on a story that was shared from a post. Like, it was literally like I was in the movie Inception. Like, what is real? Like, I don't even know anymore. And for me, it felt really off. And it felt like, I can't believe that I've gone into this app and I've kind of allowed myself to be tricked into, there's a notification there, but the notification isn't even any kind of meaningful communication. It's just, we're playing the game. We're on the slot machine of this app, which is Instagram. So I kind of went pretty cold turkey with it, and I sent a message out to my most contacted people on there, the closest friends and things like that. And I kind of said, look, hey guys, I'm out of here. Just letting you know, you can message me at any time. I'm on WhatsApp. You can call me, text me, but I'm out of here. And I didn't cancel my accounts, but what I did do, which actually took a painstaking amount of time, was on my laptop, I set up a bookmark in one of my browsers that has my access to Instagram, and also with Facebook. And so I made that choice to remove and have an idea myself of what is meaningful to me, to remove myself from the ecosystem that was Instagram through an app, and instead have access to it on a browser. So that means I have to be sitting at a computer and remember that Instagram exists to then go in and check on it. Now, as I said before, that's not for everyone. For me personally, I felt a real disconnect with why I was even on Instagram in the first place. And for months and months, if not years, I would say to people, I hate Instagram, but I message people through there. And there's groups that I'm a part of that are on there, and like social groups, and we have plans on there, and we share photos and videos through there. But let me tell you, as soon as you're not on there, none of those things go away. You can still share photos, you can still talk to people, you can still be social. I was finding I was more social without it. And so that is all to say that that's the headspace I was in when I then picked up this book. Now, I knew that Cal Newport had written this book for a while, being published in 2019. Like, I had been aware of it for a while, but I hadn't picked it up yet. And I feel like it just got to the point where I was ready to pick it up, and I was in the headspace, and I wanted change, and I wanted kind of the feeling of support through making a change and understanding what is possible. And do I need Instagram? Is that some kind of societal expectation in this day and age that, you must have Instagram to be connected to the world? Now, I still have a bit of an internal conflict going on, because as a business owner, I want to make sure that I'm reaching an audience with where they are spending time. So there is part of me as a business strategy that engages with my business Instagram account and with YouTube, for example, so that I can reach people with where they are at. And the conflict for me is that I don't want to spend time on Instagram at all, or Facebook at all. But I see that there is a benefit to that. So then it comes about what works for me and how can I best engage with it to benefit those I'm trying to reach, but also not fall into the trap of just being on there. And to bring it back to Cal, and this is a 5-star read for me. Like, I would highly recommend it to anyone that's just interested in having a different perspective and actually stopping and thinking about, hang on a second, how do we even get to this place with social media and distraction in general? Like, this isn't just talking about Instagram. I'm just sharing that as an anecdote of my personal learning and connection to real life as I was reading it. But this is just great because it does talk about, and he explains that it is kind of like a slot machine. And at the end of the day, these types of social media and online tools and you could argue even Netflix and things like that, they're designed to keep you in it. They're designed to be sticky. And if they're designed that way and you're not being aware that you are just operating within the design that is designed for the purpose of keeping you in the ecosystem and as many hours as possible, and make it as integrated into your life where you think you need it, like, that is the whole point of the design. That is why they've got developers and site designers and people there to make it more appealing to stay in. It's kind of like if you've ever downloaded like a mobile game where it keeps you there. Like, I remember I was playing Heyday, and look, I still have that app on my iPad, but the game, like, it keeps you in there. Like, there's always a field to harvest, or there's always an animal to feed, or there's this, or the next thing, you just wait another couple of minutes and then the next thing is there. Like, you can get lost in there, just like you can get lost in TikTok or Instagram or on Netflix. Like, yes, I'll keep watching, when that notification pops up. They are designed to keep you there. And so when we understand that, we can then go, okay, I understand that the odds are kind of against me because they have designed it in such a way that it is entertaining, that it is a departure from reality. It is, convincing you that you are learning something there in short, quick, sharp bites. But when you step away, how much have you really learned? And maybe you have, and maybe that's great for you. But for me, reading this book really had me stop and realize, hang on a second, this is the design, and we are in the design of staying in this app, and what value is it bringing me? And another really amazing point that he makes is if you think about what is it that you're going there for? So, for example, the arguments can commonly be for social interaction, to keep up to date with friends, to know when there's an event coming up. All of those things, if those are the things that are important to you and that you value in your life, can you get them any other way? Because if there is no other possible way that you can achieve those things that are of value to you than signing into Instagram or like adding a reaction to a like on a post that was shared in a story, highlight, or whatever, then great, go for your life. But if there are other ways that you can fulfill that value for you, I'm just suggesting, and Cal is suggesting, that you have a think about that, because it's not necessarily the only way to feel satisfied in that way. And I would also encourage you to think about, how often do you actually feel satisfied with being on those social tools? Another big thing that he advocates for in this book is that Cal is coming from the perspective of, having a meaningful, happy, purposeful, satisfying life, and doing things that do align for you and that make you feel good and that make you feel a sense of achievement and pride. And how often are those things on a platform like that? Or can they exist outside? Like, what are the other activities and things that you could be doing? And again, this isn't about saying that social media is bad. That's not what this is. This is more just shining a light on, what do you think about it? Have you ever stopped to think about it before? Do you feel good using it? Do you genuinely feel good using it? Is it aligning to a value of yours? And if it is that the only way that you can get there? For me, putting it on my laptop, I honestly forget that Instagram exists. Outside of thinking from a business perspective, should I post this or could I do that? But even then, I kind of drag my feet on posting on Instagram, because for me, I've realized that I don't love the platform. And if I had my way, I would find my clients without use of that, because I'm an advocate for just living your life outside of those platforms. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip to a few different pages where I've highlighted some key quotes, and I'm just going to read them out as food for thought. Again, this whole series is about TLDR, like it's too long, didn't read. I did read it, so you don't have to. I would encourage you to read it because it was amazing and a game changer and a mind opener, and also just the quality of the book is amazing. Like, it smells amazing. The pages are perfect. It's great to highlight on. Like, you really feel like you're leveling up by reading this book. But let me just randomly, I haven't earmarked anything, but I'm going to open some random pages. I'm going to read you a couple quotes and just listen and have these as food for thought. Okay? All right. So I'm just going to literally open and read whatever comes up. Okay? So this is from page 41. Assume, for example, that your Twitter habit effectively consumes 10 hours per week. Thoreau would note that this cost is almost certainly way too high for the limited benefits it returns. This is why clutter is dangerous. It's easy to be seduced by the small amounts of profit offered by the latest app or service, but then forget its cost in terms of the most important resource we possess, the minutes in our life. He says, keep calculating, keep weighing. What exactly do I gain or lose? The law of diminishing returns is familiar to anyone who studies economics. It applies to the improvement of production processes and says, at a high level, that investing more resources into a process cannot indefinitely improve its output. Eventually, you'll approach a natural limit and start experiencing less and less extra benefit from continued investment. For many people, the compulsive phone use papers over a void created by a lack of well-developed leisure life. The like button was introduced as a simpler way to indicate your general approval of a post, which would then both save time and allow the comments to be reserved for more interesting notes. To click like within the precise definitions of information theory is literally the least informative type of non-trivial communication, providing only a minimal 1 bit of information about the state of the sender, the person clicking the icon on a post, to the receiver, the person who published the post. Instead of seeing these easy clicks as a fun way to nudge a friend, start treating them as poison at your attempts to cultivate a meaningful social life. If you must use these services, however, and you hope to do so without ceding autonomy over your time and attention, it's crucial to understand that this is not a casual decision. You're instead waging a David and Goliath battle against institutions that are both impossibly rich and intent on using this wealth to stop you from winning. Remember how Hollier and Tang opened their manifesto with the idea, your time equals their money. Now, they're just a couple of random quotes, right? I haven't given you all the context behind that quote in a certain chapter and what the key point was. But I think if we just reflect on some of those quotes, what we're hearing is this is your choice. And your choice starts by calling awareness to the actions and the behaviors and the emotions attached to your use of digital tools and distractions. And now I know I'm calling out social media a lot here because that is what I hear my clients talk about the most, that, they go down the rabbit hole of social media, or they lose hours of time, or they're distracted and they pick up their phone. And obviously that's natural as someone that is aspiring to start a business or has started or is a current business owner, a solopreneur, entrepreneur, where you're kind of in it by yourself. There are so many emotions that happen that are really high or that are low, or there's self-doubt or confusion or overwhelm or excitement. But there's also this kind of wider context, which is procrastination is there as well. Sometimes there's a fear of success there. Sometimes there's just self-doubt because you haven't done something before and it feels scary and you don't know if you're equipped to do it. And all of those emotional states are those possible moments where you may want to distract yourself. And so that's where your phone is right there. These tools are right there. So you can easily pick it up and then escape those feelings. But what Cal Newport is advocating for here is that feel the feeling. Get curious about why you're feeling that way. And when you would normally be picking up the phone to distract yourself, or like, I just want to check if there's a notification, or I just want to post this selfie, or I just want to comment on someone's post, or I wonder if they've had their baby yet, is that a distraction? Because what is triggering your use of the social tool or the digital distraction? And when we couple that with, we're calling awareness to the fact that you are using it, and then you can get, you can kind of pull it out and dissociate from that and be kind to yourself and study it as if you're pulling the action out of your mind and you're looking at it like this, and you can, with kind eyes, observe what is it that's drawing you to using it. And how do you feel about that? And what is that trigger? And then you can think about, does that actually align for you? Like, what value are you actually getting from that behavior? And maybe the value is that you are distracted and then you don't feel self-doubt anymore because you're consumed by a digital distraction or a social media account or an app or something like that. So it's calling that out, calling attention to it, and then getting kind and getting curious about, is it adding value for you, and what even do you value in the first place? And then if it is value, if it is ticking that value box, is that the only way that you can satisfy that value in your life? And get curious about that. This is a moment of kind of calling attention to it and getting really curious and discovering more about yourself, and actually encouraging you to have an opinion about your own use of these tools and these platforms and technologies. And once you have an opinion on it, then it gives you that kind of stance that you can stand behind the opinion that you have. And obviously, it doesn't need to be forever. Your opinion may change over time, where maybe it has a lot of benefit to you right now, and then maybe it won't in future, or vice versa. Like, your opinion can change. This isn't to draw a line in the sand and say, hand on heart, I am never using it again. That's not what we're kind of saying here. It's just to get aware and be curious and wonder, like, is this something that is adding value to my life? Am I choosing to spend my time in a platform that is designed to keep me there? And these are profitable businesses that are designing these apps and these social platforms, etc. So you are willingly spending time in these places that are designed to keep you there. And as that last quote was that I read out, your time equals their money. So you are contributing to that ongoing growth and success of the platform by being on there. So just have a think about that. How does that feel for you? Maybe that feels good. Maybe you like that. But if there is part of you that, in hearing about this, and you are now curious about your own use and calling attention to it and having an awareness about it, I'd encourage you to actually think about it. Literally think. And I see the irony that if you're watching this video, it's likely that you're watching it via a social platform, and I understand that. And that is part of the conflict that I was talking about before, is that I do feel conflicted in my own use of these platforms when I love not using them. I just love my life without them. But at the same time, I have reshaped how it is that I'm using them. And rather than going on the default mode of, I must have Instagram and still have access to Facebook, and then also be on LinkedIn and also be on YouTube, and, have a TikTok because that's where, pop culture moments happen and whatnot. Rather than going by that default state, I have been able to craft my own way and my own opinion and my own approach in how I choose to use this platform and for what purpose. And as I said at the start, I choose to use these platforms to reach my audience with where they're currently spending time. And I realize that not everyone has been in that moment of calling awareness to their own behaviors and use for social tools yet. But the more I read books like Digital Minimalism by Newport, the more I read books on the psychology of happiness, on everything that contributes to your mindset and your growth and your resilience and your feeling of satisfaction in life and living in line with your values, the more I read and the more I learn, the more I realize that there is a place for us to call attention to what it is that we're choosing to do day to day and how we show up for ourselves every single day. And I think as part of that, naturally, we look at the distractions that we have. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. I mean, again, I've read it so you don't have to, but I would highly encourage you to read it. It's just such a beautiful book. It's so well written. Cal Newport is seriously such a legend, and it comes from a place of really thought out and research and evidence-based, but he writes it in a way that's poetic and enjoyable to read, and it's such an easy book to have and read a couple pages from with your morning coffee, or as you wake up in the morning when you're fresh and, the world is your oyster at the start of the day. I would highly encourage you to do that. If you have read it, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I would love to have a discussion with you about this. But at the very least, I would encourage you to just get curious about your own use of social media, the tools that you use, the distractions that you have. What can you learn about yourself by having a little think about that? And maybe on your next walk, rather than having a podcast going, just take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to have a little think about, okay, what would you be normally doing at this time? Are you distracting yourself with a podcast? What insights or realizations or just thoughts or emotions can you allow yourself to feel while you're on that walk, or while you're just sitting on the couch with the TV off, for example. So just have a little think. I would love to hear from you. Again, I'd highly recommend this book if you're curious in any way about what we've discussed today. But thanks for listening, and I'll see you again soon.